On a peaceful Sunday morning, I was carefully polishing my Lamborghini Urus. Sunlight danced across the deep emerald finish when that sharp, familiar noise cut through the quiet. High heels hitting the pavement sharp. Deliberate. Click, click, click. And oh, need to glance up. I already knew exactly who it was. Cheryl, the self-styled ruler of our homeowners association. The one everyone privately nicknamed Karen Supreme's vehicle, she remarked, her smile stiff and insincere as she leaned into my driveway as though it belonged to her. I had no idea non-members were allowed to keep such flashy cars around here. I managed a courteous grin. Good morning, Cheryl. Yes, I live here. I've been on this block longer than your regulations have been in place. Her laugh rang out cold, not warm. You seem to have gotten the wrong idea. Belonging in this community goes beyond just having an address. It's about blending in properly. She began a slow, predatory walk around the SUV, circling it like she was appraising prey. Then, without warning, she stopped and declared, "You know, I always dreamed of owning a Lamborghini, but since I'm so dedicated to the neighborhood, it only seems right that you sell it to me for, let's say, $1. Purely symbolic, of course. It would suit the community much better in my hands." I stared at her. "You're asking to purchase my $250,000 vehicle for $1? Technically, it's an asset losing value," she replied calmly, as if lecturing a toddler. "Besides, our HOA rules strongly discourage showy displays of wealth, so you can either sign it over or keep it hidden from view." This time, I didn't hold back a genuine laugh, not the polite variety. "Go ahead and submit whatever complaint you like, Cheryl. The car stays exactly where it is." Her jaw tightened visibly. "That's a clear violation. I'll have no choice but to take this higher." "Take what higher?" I asked, casually dropping the microfiber cloth onto the hood. "Your fantasies?" She spun around and marched away, grumbling under her breath about spoiled attitudes and disrespectful men. I assumed the matter was finished, but that same afternoon, I spotted her snapping photos of my Urus from the public sidewalk, clipboard clutched in one hand, phone in the other. Soon, she was striding back and forth, speaking loudly into her cell, pointing repeatedly at my house. 15 minutes passed, and then sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flickered across my driveway as 2 police cruisers rolled up. My gut twisted. An officer emerged, his palm resting near his sidearm. "Sir, we received a report of a potentially stolen high-end vehicle located here. Could you clarify the situation?" I glanced beyond him. Cheryl lingered behind the fence line, arms crossed, wearing a smug expression that said she believed victory was already hers. I exhaled slowly. "Yes, officer. I'd be happy to clear this up." The officer kept his hand close to his holster, gaze shifting between the Lamborghini and me, piecing things together on the spot. "Sir," he continued evenly, "the caller stated you're currently holding a stolen luxury automobile. She alleges illegal parking and repeated refusal to follow community guidelines." I let out a brief, incredulous chuckle. "She actually reported this. That's my vehicle. I have the title, current registration, full insurance coverage, and dozens of photos of myself with it going back to purchase day." Cheryl advanced like a key prosecution witness, taking the stand. "Officer, he's not telling the truth. That Lamborghini previously belonged to one of our residents until he vanished under mysterious circumstances." She paused for effect. "And now this individual has been boasting that he acquired it for just $1. Obviously, there's foul play involved." The officer exhaled heavily. "Ma'am, please move back to a safe distance." She refused. "No, this is our community. As HOA president, I have full authority to protect it from illegal behavior." Her words carried across the tranquil cul-de-sac. Window curtains twitched. Neighbors peered out. Some stepped onto their porches, murmuring, phones already in hand to capture footage. I retrieved my registration from the glove compartment and passed it over. "Here you go. Bought 3 years ago, fully paid. Feel free to run the VIN." He accepted it and exchanged a look with his partner. The second officer bent to inspect the VIN sticker by the windshield, then keyed information into his radio. Cheryl lingered close, still ranting. Documents can be forged, you realize. He probably downloaded a template online, and he revs that engine far too loudly, almost certainly modified against regulations. I'm positive it exceeds our noise ordinance. The first officer eventually lifted his eyes from the papers. Ma'am, kindly return to your own residence. We're confirming the ownership details. Her cheeks flushed crimson. You're missing the point. I've been attempting to acquire that vehicle from him for communal benefit, and he for $1, I interrupted calmly. She stiffened. The officer arched an eyebrow. Hold on. She proposed purchasing it for $1? Her poise faltered. It was symbolic. For the sake of neighborhood unity, the second officer's radio buzzed. Vehicle matches registration to my full name. No liens. Paid outright. 0 theft alerts on file. The first officer faced Cheryl directly. Ma'am, all information verifies legitimate. In the future, please verify details before dialing emergency services. Cheryl refused to yield. He's deceiving you. This can't be right. He must have paid someone off. Ma'am, the officer stated firmly, if false emergency calls continue, you risk facing legal consequences. Silence settled over the scene for a long beat. Then she retreated a step. Features twitching, her confident mask crumbling. Fine. Expect a formal HOA citation. This isn't over. She pivoted sharply and strode away, nearly stumbling in her heels. The officers offered a sympathetic nod before pulling away. I remained standing there, pulse racing, partly entertained, partly drained. Still, deep down, I sensed Cheryl was far from finished. The true trouble was only beginning. The following morning, I stepped outside and immediately spotted a thick manila envelope taped to my front door. In glaring red capital letters across the top. HOA violation notice urgent. I ripped it open. Inside lay a 3-page, official-looking document accusing me of operating an unauthorized commercial exhibition with my Lamborghini, running an illicit rental operation from my property, and verbally intimidating a community official. The signature line set Cheryl's name in crisp, furious, cursive, as if she believed this piece of paper carried the weight of a judge's gavel rather than petty neighborhood drama. I burst out laughing right there on the porch. Absolutely ridiculous. But as I scanned the pages, my amusement died. She had stapled photographs, blurry close-ups of me standing in my own driveway, the Urus parked in plain view, even one of me carrying grocery bags from the trunk. The realization hit hard. This wasn't mere irritation anymore. She was actively surveilling me. That afternoon, I decided to confront her directly, maybe talk sense into her before the situation spiraled completely out of control. I walked the short distance to her house. Her front lawn resembled a command center, a collapsible table covered in HOA binders, stacks of printed rules, and a laptop glowing with zoning ordinances. She was deep in tyrant mode. Cheryl called from the sidewalk, keeping my distance. We need to have a conversation. This harassment ends now. She didn't even glance up from her screen. It's not harassment when it's legitimate community oversight. Community oversight? I repeated. You dialed 911 because I refused to hand over a $250,000 vehicle for $1. She finally lifted her head, pasting on that same artificial smile. It's a matter of respect, sweetheart. You could have cooperated and made everything simple. Instead, you humiliated me in front of the police. I don't take public embarrassment lightly. My patience was fraying. You're twisting HOA regulations into a personal weapon, Cheryl. That's against the law. She reclined in her folding chair with supreme confidence. Then take me to court. You'll run out of money long before you ever see a courtroom. I drew a steady breath. Okay, if that's the game you want. She smirked wider. Oh, I've already begun. I've lodged a complaint with the city about your illegally altered vehicle, and tomorrow evening we're holding a full community forum. Let's hear what your fellow residents think of your little criminal status symbol. I stood there, momentarily speechless. You're really escalating all of this because I turned down your absurd $1 offer. Her gaze sharpened with something close to mania. Certain individuals simply don't fit among civilized company. The next evening, when I returned home, every mailbox on the street held the same bright flyer. Community Safety Forum Urgent Agenda. Investigation of unauthorized resident vehicle centered in the middle. Was a large color photo of my Lamborghini, but Cheryl had finally overplayed her hand. What she didn't realize was that I'd installed a full home security suite months earlier. Cameras covering every angle, motion activated, cloud backed, time stamped. They had captured everything. Her creeping around my property to snap those photos, stepping onto my driveway without permission, even lurking near the garage after dark with a flashlight. I decided it was time to flip the script using her favorite method, evidence.by. The time the so-called safety meeting started, the clubhouse lot resembled a small theater crowd. Rows of folding chairs filled with dozens of neighbors, some genuinely concerned, most just eager for the drama. Cheryl stood at the podium in a vivid red blazer, microphone gripped like a scepter, ready to deliver her victory speech. "Thank you all for attending on such short notice," she began, voice dripping artificial sweetness. "We face a grave concern in our subdivision, one resident openly displaying an unlawful luxury asset, disrupting neighborhood tranquility, and potentially involved in deceptive practices." A quiet ripple of murmurs spread. Everyone already knew the target. I stayed silent until she advanced her slide deck, and my Urus appeared large on the projector screen, her favorite angle, shot stealthily from behind landscaping. "That was my cue, Cheryl," I said loudly, stepping into the aisle. "You left out the most important part of the story." She stiffened. "Pardon me?" I raised my phone, paired it wirelessly to the projector, and the screen switched, now playing. Crystal clear, time-stamped security footage. Cheryl, illuminated by porch light at 12:17 am, crept onto my driveway. She crouched low, phone raised, snapping photos, then reaching for my side gate latch. The room sucked in a collective breath. I advanced to the next clip. Wider angle, same night. Cheryl paced along my property boundary, extending a measuring tape, while muttering, "This vehicle does not align with the aesthetic standards of our community." From the back row, someone hissed, "She's completely unhinged." I turned to address the audience directly. "This is what your HOA dues are funding. False police reports, fabricated theft claims, official complaints, all because I wouldn't sell her my car for a single dollar." Cheryl's complexion drained of color. That footage is being presented out of context. "He's invading my privacy." Before she could regain momentum, a board member rose to his feet. "Cheryl, that's enough. You've gone way over the line multiple times." Another resident chimed in. "You made the whole neighborhood look ridiculous with that 911 stunt over a parked car." Then a third person held up their phone. "For the record, I already forwarded this video to the Municipal Code Enforcement Division. Trespassing, stalking, harassment, that's what they'll be looking at." The meeting dissolved into chaos. Voices overlapped. Cheryl's polished facade shattered completely. "You can't treat me this way. I am the president of this association." I met her eyes calmly. "Ain't anymore." 2 weeks late, R.I. spotted her outside the county courthouse, sunglasses hiding red-rimmed eyes, pacing while arguing quietly with her attorney. It turned out that repeated false police statements, abuse of HOA powers, and unauthorized surveillance carry real legal weight. The officers she had misled submitted their own internal complaint. Word eventually reached me that Cheryl resigned as HOA president after facing charges for filing false reports and obstructing justice. These days, whenever I pass my driveway, a small grin creeps across my face. The Urus gleams exactly where it's supposed to be, untouched, undiminished, not sold for $1 or forced into hiding. And occasionally, when I hear the sharp click of heels echoing down the street, I almost feel nostalgic for the madness. Almost. Which part of this saga surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below, and smash that like button if you're ready for even wilder HOA tales.